We're inside the Nevada National Security Site, specifically Area 16, the Shoshone Mountain side of the map. This part of the NNSS has a long history of underground work, and it shows. What immediately stands out here are multiple entrances cut into the same mound, and then, later on, a hole that appears on the top. That combination is interesting, because it suggests something meant to stay buried, but not completely sealed. I don't know exactly what this is. My working theory is some kind of underground storage or access facility, and that top opening may be a vent, added or modified over time. We're also going to dig into a USGS report from the early 1980s that covers subsurface and geological work in this area, and see if anything in that document lines up with what we're seeing here from above. We're going to do what we always do, walk the imagery year by year and let the site speak for itself. All right, let's start to look through this place. This is the most recent imagery here, so let's just take a look around. Here's a cool looking tunnel, and you can totally see it right there. What gets me about this one is it looks like something's in the way right there. This was cut sometime in 1998, sorry. As we go through, you'll see that it used to just be here, like a little berm with just these two cuts. Now here's the middle one. This one is a little weird too, because in this one you can see the concrete, like roof, tunnel entrance, something is right there. Here's some size comparisons. I'm not sure what that is. There's like a little, I mean, that's a full building, so it's almost the size of that building. I wonder if this is something, a piece of machinery. I don't know what this is. Is something, or a building, a holding building, you know, to go in and out, store something, but I don't know why they wouldn't just store it on the inside. There's the hole, and you can see here, this gives you a real good look at this whole thing. So you can assume that whole mound is underground. And right off the bat, I'll just say I think this is some kind of storage. And this tunnel, this hole up here was started to be drilled out in like 2005. So I wonder if they had some off gases that were starting to build up, and you just need a vent, you know, and they don't want a ventilation system. Maybe it's not needed. They just, all right, put a hole up there. Look at that. All right, let's start to go backwards. Some good shadows on this year here. Love this year. This is really great imagery here. Look at that. Some kind of tanker. This one gets me. I don't know what's going on here. Look at that. You can totally see it's like a double mound. It's like the mound and then the hole. And we'll get into when that was dug up. This is the original road. Or I think that's the original spot. This is a user posted comment, by the way. So thank you. You know who you are. You can really see the shadow on that. And see that entrance looks a little funky right there. (2013), everything's still there. Little less going on over here. Sorry, the mouse is kind of giving me a little. And see, doesn't that look weird right there? That does not look right. Maybe it's just, I think it might be the angle of the imagery. I mean, compare that to that. Okay, and so we're getting into when this hole started to appear. So you can see it there barely. I don't know if it's actually dug there, but it's there at this time. 2006, mid 2006, and it's not there October 1st of 2005. But you can see that they've come down off this road and started to put it in. And here's 1998. And here you can also see that little port on the left there wasn't even there yet. So they have dug it out somewhere right there. So at this time, you know, maybe this was storage and these were their entrances. You know, so something made them drill that third hole and then start to put in this hole up top. Bet you that's some kind of storage, and that's for off-gassing and probably cheaper than its own ventilation system. Let's go ahead and look at some other imagery here. And you know, as always, this ArcGIS always seems a little brighter. Who knows if it's different satellites? I'm not sure. Let's go back to 2014 right off the bat. Not a lot going on there. This is empty, this is empty. There's even more activity now. Look at that. This thing is still here. And see, it's like almost like that rock is in the way. Maybe it's the angle. I don't know. This is weird. Because there it looks completely clear. See that? Boom. Maybe that's just the shadow and the angle. Trying to go a little slower. Kind of slow it down a little bit for you. Something reflective there. Some good color on those shadows there. And you can see kind of the straightness. Boom. See, that's a straight cut. Boom. Man-made. Nothing real different here. Now let's pop over to HistoricAerials and see if we can actually see when the facility may have been put in to begin with. So here it is in 1998. And you can see the road cut in over here. So they've started to... You know, here's the top, and here's those tunnel 1, possible tunnel, and a cutout, right? 1983, the tunnels did not exist, but this road up top did. Let's see, the 1959. So 1959, nothing is going on there. Something in 1983, maybe they've started to survey this area. Maybe they did a drill hole down at the top here and drilled all the way at the highest point down to see what's in there. And as we get into the USGS report, you'll see what this area is possibly made of and why it's of interest to them. So somewhere between 83 and 98, the actual facility was put in. Again, time frame. What's going on in those years? Between the 80s and the 90s, where they need to drill into the side of this mountain. Okay, let's start to dive into this document here. This is the USGS Geological Survey and Tunnels. So yeah, I found this little Google dorking trying to look up more information on past tunnels. And you can see a lot of the places we've looked at are listed here. Let's go ahead and search this doc. And you're going to see that there's a Shoshone Mountain and an Area 16 tunnel complex. Now, feeding this into the robot, we get a little bit of information. I'll link this down below and you can check out this yourself. I'm just going to talk about a little bit of what it found here. These tunnels were used for underground nuclear weapon tests, not storage, apparently. They're designed to contain the blast underground and study the seismic effects and prevent surface contamination. Why was this mountain chosen? It says it's mostly made of volcanic tuff, and I bet you that's what that road is up top that we saw in the 1980s. I bet you they were doing some kind of drilling here to see what actually this was, because if you look at it in a 3D view, you know, that initial road was up in here at the highest point. Maybe they drilled directly down and figured out what's in there. So apparently it's this volcanic tuff. The rock is zeolithized, meaning it absorbs shock energy well, helps trap radioactive gases. Maybe that's this hole, and they just are, you know, it's less expensive to just drill a hole and let it vent out the top. Don't light that on fire. And it behaves predictably during explosions. Some scientific work that was done here, seismic and geophysical surveys, how fast seismic waves travel through the rock, how fractured or solid the mountain is. This data helped the U.S. interpret nuclear test signals, distinguish nuclear explosions from earthquakes, that's important, and understand how underground blasts propagate. What the site is not. It's not alien tech. It's not a dumb. It's not a deep underground military base. It's just test tunnels, and it's not some secret society. Why this area is still interesting? It's one of the least discussed test site tunnels around. And a little sum-up sentence. The Shoshone Mountain wasn't a mystery base. It was a purpose-built nuclear test laboratory carved into volcanic rock, used to perfect underground testing and seismic detection during the Cold War. But, you know, if they say this is not used, even to this day, it still seems like there's stuff going on here. Maybe this is just maintenance. And based on the activity of this area, I just want to, with our next location is right across the way here. Over to the left. See if I can spot it right away. Here it is. What caught my eye here is this. We're going to dive into the historical aspect of this area. Could it be connected? What's going on over here? This might just be a retaining wall. But as you'll see, this is a very interesting area at one time that is not anymore. Could it be connected? I have no idea. Thanks for sticking around for this video. If you know what this area is, please drop a comment below and with some information. I'd love to talk to you about it. If you don't know what it is, please drop it below. See if you think I'm crazy. Hop in the Discord server if you'd like to chat about this more on a more personal basis, more instant basis. And thank you again. Don't forget to take care and stay above it. Bye.